Most men have no idea that seduction begins long before a single word is spoken. And here's the truth almost no one tells you. The moment you start chasing, you stop being attractive, because you don't seduce a woman by trying to get her attention. You seduce her by controlling your presence, your energy, and the space around you. Welcome to the Stoic Flame, and today I'm going to reveal the psychological mechanism behind silent attraction, the kind that works without chasing, without begging, without losing yourself. A woman isn't drawn to the messages you send, the compliments you drop, or the good intentions you try to show. She is drawn to what she senses before anything is said. She reads your posture, your energy, your emotional rhythm, the way you stand, the way you react to silence, the way you exist in the environment. Before you open your mouth, she already knows whether you're a man with self-respect or another guy desperate to be chosen. The moment you try too hard to prove yourself, your presence collapses. When you force conversation, chase replies, ask if she's upset, or show immediate interest, you're not expressing maturity, you're broadcasting urgency. It's not affection. It's anxiety. And women are biologically wired to sense that anxiety in seconds. The female instinct has evolved to detect a man's emotional stability without needing any explanation. When she feels urgency, she reads it as low self-importance. He needs me to feel like someone. That's what her subconscious picks up. And this happens because most men walk into interactions scared of rejection while also being addicted to female validation. This combination is deadly. Fear of losing mixed with addiction to approval creates anxious behavior. And anxious behavior kills magnetism instantly. Attraction never comes from a man who begs for connection. It comes from the man who stays rooted in himself even when nothing seems to be happening. Carl Jung called the hidden part of you the shadow, your fears, your insecurities, your hunger for approval. You spend your whole life trying to hide it, but ironically it is the first thing a woman feels. It appears in your eyes, your voice, your rushed reactions, your explanations, your need to be understood. You never say, please like me, but your energy does, your posture does, your behavior does. And she doesn't need to be a psychologist to sense it. Studies today show something very clear. Women find calm, focused, socially selective men far more attractive than men who show fast, exaggerated enthusiasm. In simple words, a man who is at peace with himself activates curiosity. A man who rushes forward activates resistance. The one who remains comfortable and observant signals value. The one who pushes himself onto her signals insecurity. And if you don't choose yourself, she will never feel a reason to choose you. The issue isn't approaching a woman, it's how you approach. If you come in needy, predictable, too transparent in your intentions, without mystery or composure, you eliminate attraction before it begins. You enter the interaction as someone who wants to be chosen, not as a man who already carries a defined internal world. Attraction doesn't come from begging for space. It comes from already owning your space and allowing her to move into it voluntarily. The trap begins before the conversation, before the text, before the approach. It begins inside your mind. Any man who enters an interaction trying to be accepted communicates low self-value immediately. You might think you're being polite or attentive, but the energy delivered is something else entirely. It's the energy of someone seeking approval, someone trying to earn points, someone hoping to be graded well. Every anxious question, every fast gesture, every attempt to seem interesting reveals one truth. You don't see yourself as the prize. You see yourself as a candidate. And candidates don't seduce. They just hope. Evolutionary psychology makes something very clear. The first filter women use is not charm, looks, or conversation. It's emotional stability. A man who stays grounded and calm triggers feelings of safety that cannot be faked. A man who shows desperation triggers instinctive avoidance. Because a man who depends on validation cannot sustain his own world. He will always orbit hers. That's why showing interest too quickly backfires. Female desire is not born from what you offer. It is born from what you represent. Research from Florida State University shows that socially selective, calm men are rated more attractive than men who appear immediately available. What looks like coldness actually creates curiosity. What looks like indifference creates the perception of value. The man who isn't starving for attention sends one message: I am abundant without you. And abundance is magnetic. There is a powerful rule that separates magnetic men from anxious men, the rule of dominant presence. Before speaking, observe. Before showing interest, anchor your comfort. Before trying to impress, let your body speak first. Slow movements communicate mastery. Controlled silences create authority. A relaxed but grounded posture signals that you're centered in yourself. And a woman reads this instantly. When you do this, the dynamic flips. You stop chasing and start being noticed. Female desire gravitates toward centeredness, not urgency. There's also a biological factor most men ignore: micro-submissions. The tiny movements you don't notice, but she does. Looking at her too quickly, smiling too fast. Shrinking your posture. These tiny shifts reveal that your emotional state depends on her reaction. It says you're not stable in yourself. And attraction collapses. Much of this comes from dopamine addiction. Men addicted to female validation operate on short reward cycles. Every like, reply, or glance triggers a chemical spike that makes you react too fast, talk too much, try too hard. You're not attracted to her, you're addicted to the feeling she gives you, and women sense this instantly. True attraction comes from the man who rules his own rhythm. He doesn't speed up because the environment speeds up. He doesn't fill silence. He creates silence. He sets the emotional tempo. And this stability pulls her in without force. Harvard research shows that women interpret slow speech, deliberate pauses, and controlled movements as signs of higher confidence and intelligence. Not arrogance, presence. A man who fills silence seems insecure. A man who owns silence seems powerful. Your body says what your words never will. There's a method that flips this dynamic instantly: internal rhythm. Speak slightly slower than the environment. Eliminate reflexive yeses and nervous fillers. Use micro-silences that aren't empty, they're full of presence. These silences show you're not seeking approval. You're simply existing in your own axis, and a woman feels that deeply. She also feels when you have options. Most men sabotage themselves by acting like she's a rare opportunity. When you treat her like she's scarce, you become scarce in value. Women instinctively look for men who already have social and female options, not because of arrogance, but because it signals quality. Studies in social psychology show that scarcity shapes desire. When you become scarce, your value rises. When you don't need the interaction, everything changes. Your breathing slows, your movements settle, your focus expands beyond her. You're not trying to impress, you're simply present. This creates a gravitational pull. Desire doesn't start from what you say. It starts from what you radiate. There's a technique that activates this immediately: external focus. Keep most of your attention on the environment, not on her. Observe the room. Interact with others. Move socially. This tells the world and her that you are not orbiting her. You are centered in your own world. And that's when she wants to enter it. Seducing without trying is not a trick, it's not a line. It's not a technique, it is an internal architecture. It's what happens when a man masters his own energy, rhythm, silence, and direction. A woman feels this before you speak. Attraction is not opinion, it's biology. And biology reads your presence louder than your words. Robert Greene says power is influence without revealing intention. Seduction works the same. The average man tries to show he's interesting. The high-value man allows it to be felt. The average man rushes to show interest. The high-value man moves with intention. He doesn't push, he doesn't beg. He doesn't perform, his presence speaks for him. The strongest form of seduction is silent magnetism, a calm, grounded, internally directed masculine energy. When you place your attention on your axis instead of the woman, something profound happens. Your mind stabilizes. Your posture strengthens. Your energy becomes solid. And when the masculine becomes solid, the feminine naturally comes closer. Because desire never moves toward noise. Desire moves toward presence. And presence is always silent.